In January 2025, the world's attention turned to the most remote island on Earth. "56,000 people live here. They did not ask for any of this." Beneath this ice lies minerals that power the modern world. The closest military base to the North Pole on Earth, it is American. It sits on Danish territory.
Det har været nemt at stå op imod et helt uacceptabelt pres fra vores nærmeste allierede igennem en menneskealder. Men meget tyder samtidig på, at det sværeste nu ligger foran os.
3 superpowers, 1 island. The math is not complicated.
Listen to the Arctic. Action now! Our climate, our future!
China declared itself a near Arctic state. There is no such thing in international law. They did it anyway. This is Greenland. Greenland is the largest island on Earth. It is larger than Mexico, larger than Saudi Arabia. 80% of it is buried under permanent ice. 56,000 people live here, most of them along a thin strip of coastline. The economy runs on fishing and on annual subsidies from Denmark, roughly $600 million a year. There are no roads between towns, no highways crossing the island. To get from one settlement to another, you fly or you sail. And yet, geographically, Greenland sits at the exact centre of the world's most contested strategic space. The United States recognised this in 1940. When Nazi Germany occupied Denmark, American officials quietly moved in, making a deal with the Danish ambassador to establish a defence presence on the island. By 1951, that presence became official. A treaty. A base. What was once called Thule Air Base is now called Pituffik Space Base, and it sits closer to the North Pole than any other US military installation on Earth. For most of the 20th century, Greenland was a Danish colony. In 1953, it became a Danish district. In 2009, it gained self-governance, the right to make its own laws, run its own affairs, but not full independence. Greenland has its own flag, its own parliament, its own culture, a language, Kalaallisut, that predates any European presence on the island by thousands of years. And then, the ice started melting. Routes that were once frozen shut for centuries began to open, and everything underneath started to become accessible. What was once the world's most isolated island became, almost overnight, the most strategically important piece of land on Earth. To understand why everyone suddenly wants Greenland, you first need to understand one word: rare earths. Rare earth elements are 17 metals found in the Earth's crust. They power your phone, your electric car, the wind turbines generating clean energy, every guided missile in every military arsenal on Earth. China made a decision in the 1990s to dominate this supply chain. It took 40 years, but today China controls roughly 90% of global rare earth processing. In April 2025, China began restricting exports of heavy rare earth elements, a direct response to US tariffs. Western car factories paused, supply chains buckled, governments started to panic. And then someone in Washington remembered. There is one place in the world with the deposits needed to break China's grip: an island in the North Atlantic, covered in ice. Greenland is estimated to hold between 28 and 42 million metric tons of rare earth oxides. That would make it potentially the second largest reserve on the planet, after China. The Tam Breeze deposit alone, in southern Greenland, is currently under preliminary economic assessment. In June 2025, the US Export-Import Bank sent a letter of interest for a $120 million loan to fund its development. But rare earths are only part of the story. Greenland also holds graphite, lithium, copper, gold, vanadium, tungsten, uranium. In 2023, the EU identified 25 of its 34 critical raw materials as present in Greenland. There is, however, a problem. The minerals are real, the reserves are real, but getting them out is not. Developing Greenland's mineral industry would require billions upon billions spent over decades. There are no roads between towns, no power grid, no processing plants. The climate is, as one specialist described it, really super harsh. But here is what makes the minerals only one dimension of this story. As the ice melts, new shipping routes are opening. Routes that could reduce Asia to Europe transit time by 40%. Whoever controls the Arctic controls the fastest trade route on the planet. And Greenland sits at the entrance. The military case for Greenland predates every economic argument. It goes back to the Cold War, and it never went away. The shortest route from Russia to the eastern United States passes directly over Greenland. This is not a metaphor, it is basic geography. And it is why everything that happens on this island matters to every defense strategist on the planet. Pitufik Space Base, the northernmost American military installation on Earth, watches for ballistic missiles launched from Russian territory toward North America. Not occasionally, not when tensions rise. 24 hours a day, every single day, without pause. Then there is the GI-UK gap, the strategic passage between Greenland, Iceland, and the United Kingdom. During the Cold War, this is where NATO tracked Soviet submarines attempting to move into the North Atlantic. That tracking never stopped. It simply got quieter. Russia has reinvested heavily in its Arctic military infrastructure. New submarines, new bases along its northern coast, new exercises specifically designed to probe how fast NATO can respond. The Arctic is not a frozen wilderness to Moscow. It is a theatre. China, meanwhile, has declared itself a near-Arctic state. That designation does not exist anywhere in international law. Beijing declared it anyway, because in geopolitics, what you claim loudly enough eventually requires a response. Their strategy is patient and precise. Fund the infrastructure that Arctic territories cannot afford on their own. Airports, ports, power plants, and in exchange, long-term resource access. It is the same playbook used across Africa and Southeast Asia. Now it is moving north. In 2018, Denmark blocked a Chinese state company from building 3 airports in Greenland on national security grounds. It was not a minor bureaucratic decision. It was Denmark drawing a line and signalling to Beijing that Greenland was not available. The Trump administration's Golden Dome missile defense project has specifically cited Greenland as indispensable. The island's geographic position enables a type of sun-synchronous satellite control that simply cannot be replicated from anywhere else on Earth. That is not politics. That is physics. In January 2025, Donald Trump Jr. landed in Greenland. His entourage handed out MAGA hats to locals.
Some of the stuff I do in my free time, but just really excited to be here. Awesome country. The scenery coming in was just spectacular. So
Days later, the incoming president stated publicly that ownership of Greenland was an absolute necessity.
But if they do, they should give it up because we need it for national security. That's for the free world. I'm talking about protecting the free world.
Europe reacted with alarm that had no modern precedent. A NATO ally was threatening another NATO ally. Danish Prime Minister Frederiksen stood before cameras and said clearly, Greenland belongs to its people.
States in the world, and that Greenland is today a part of the Kingdom of Denmark. It's a part of our territory, and it's not for sale.
In March 2025, Vice President Vance visited Pittafik Space Base, declaring Denmark was failing to protect Greenland. The base commander was fired for sending an email calling for professionalism after Vance's visit. By January 2026, several European NATO members had deployed troops to Greenland: Germany, France, Norway, Denmark. On January 21st, 2026, at Davos, Trump pledged not to use force or tariffs to take Greenland.
We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. But I won't do that.
Greenland's Prime Minister responded immediately. Nobody except Greenland has the mandate to make deals about Greenland. There is a part of this story that gets lost in every geopolitical analysis. The 56,000 people who live there. Over 80% of Greenlandic residents want independence, not from the United States, from Denmark, on their own terms. All 5 political parties in Greenland's parliament issued a joint statement. Repeated US annexation claims are unacceptable. In 2023, Greenland unveiled its first draft constitution, calling for a Greenlandic republic and full independence. In March 2025, Greenlanders held a parliamentary election. They chose a gradual, realistic path to independence. Prime Minister Nielsen has stated Greenland does not reject closer ties with the United States, but on Greenland's terms, not Washington's. The Inuit people have lived on this island for over 4,000 years, before Denmark, before the United States, before NATO. The new generation is not choosing between Denmark and America. It is asking, what does Greenland become when it speaks for itself? This story is not about one man's ambitions. It is about a system the entire modern world depends on, and that is now fracturing. 90% of rare earth processing runs through China. Every phone, every weapon, every electric vehicle on Earth. This was a deliberate 40-year strategy. Western governments either did not notice or chose not to. Simultaneously, climate change is rewriting the map of global trade, and Greenland, whether it wants to be or not, is the toll gate. Analysts at CSIS, the Atlantic Council, and Harvard's Belfer Center all reached the same conclusion in 2026. Greenland is not a Trump obsession. It is a symptom of a deeper breakdown in Western resource security. The United States spent years relying on allies for supply chains it now considers national security vulnerabilities. Greenland has begun playing all sides. EU investment flowing in, American financing documented, Chinese cooperation on the table. A world that ran on post-war rules is being renegotiated, and small territories with enormous value are caught in the middle. By the end of 2026, Greenland's government is expected to publish a report laying out possible paths toward independence. Whatever Greenland decides, the powers surrounding it will not simply walk away. The strategic math does not change. Greenland is not a story about territory. It is a story about what happens when the world runs out of easy answers. The question the world has not yet answered is whether the system that wants Greenland will accept the answer Greenland gives.